Welcome everybody, this is Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call. This is May 9th call, and on this Tuesday 8 a.m. calls we always have Microsoft presenters or Microsoft queued up demos as well. We actually just earlier today scheduled one MVP, but his demo is something what we built together with MVPs on this call in further down in the spring. Now today we do the typical set of the things. We have a quick recap on the assets which are available, quick recap on the latest news. We'll do a group photo picture that's happening roughly in 10 to 15 minutes, and then we have 3 demos today, which are all for roughly 15 minutes. So Eric and Avadhesh, my pronunciation is probably horrible, sorry for that, are going to talk about the new flows and ideas for Power Automate and Microsoft Teams. Then we have Cathy Dew to talk about the latest on SharePoint site templates, site creation and template updates. There's a lot of cool stuff there as well. And then I'm going to actually talk about the latest on using SharePoint Framework, Microsoft Teams extensibility. Now, before we go to the actual stars and demos of today, a quick recap on the assets which are available. And we get the feedback that why are we always having the same slides and the intro? That's because there's always new people in the call as well. So, and we want to make sure that people are aware of all of these assets. So we do have our YouTube channel where we have all of the community calls recordings available, and we have individual demos and other guidance videos available there. So we do publish at least one YouTube video within that channel every single business day, and that is a lot of content. You can figure out which of those are relevant for your business and for your knowledge, and watch them from there. You can also follow up us on LinkedIn groups or have a started discussion with us in LinkedIn group for discussions and updates. So this is not a company, it is actually a group where we want to centralize our discussions. So if you have questions, you can actually use that for getting questions answered, or if you find something cool, you can use that group for sharing that with others in the community. We have a lot of open source assets available across multiple locations in GitHub, but as it might be a bit difficult to find a relevant sample for you, we also have our sample galleries. So rather than going to the GitHub and trying to find what's relevant for you, you can actually go to an easily usable sample gallery from where you can easily find the relevant sample. Just don't start from scratch, start from looking for a existing sample and then get innovation from there. And of course, you might be wondering, there's too many URLs to remember. Actually, there's only one URL, which is AKMS community/home, from where you can find all of the assets and resources which are available within the community. Now, we do have quite a lot of these community calls. This is the 8 a.m. Pacific time every single Tuesday call, which will, by the way, go for a break on summertime. So we will have the last community call before summer break on end of June, and then we'll be back in the mid-August. Now, then we have the Power Platform, Microsoft Identity, and Office Add-ins monthly calls, which are happening frequently within once a month. And then we have our Thursday series, which is either Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community call or Viva Connection SharePoint Framework community call. That's 7 a.m. every single Thursday, either one of those. That, by the way, that series will not go for summer break. So we already are scheduled and booking demos actually for August, which is pretty mind-blowing. We are in early May, but there's so high demand for doing the demos that we have the queue now for a few months forward. You can download the invites from AKMS/community/course, and we always publish the agendas and call details also in the meetup. So that is a great way of signing up for getting updates whenever the community call agendas have been published. Now, I mentioned that some of these calls are actually for demos with the community, and we do welcome you to do the demos as well, because you are actually building experiences on top of Microsoft 365 and platform, so you actually know hands-on what works and what doesn't work. And we want to hear about those stories because people learn from each other, and that's a super valuable thing to see and in practice. So please sign up for the demos at AKMS/community/request/demo. Pretty long URL. I'm pretty sure that David is actually helping on getting that on the chat for those who have access on the chat. Hopefully our chat, by the way, isn't maxed out, and it is unfortunately maxed out. So those people who cannot access the chat right now, we are working on cleaning the chat. I just noticed that it's maxing out for 1,000 attendees on the chat. I do apologize on that. If you don't have any idea what I'm just talking, just let's rewind and forget about that one. Continue. Now, we have a lot of assets available for you to get started on building experiences. So first of all, you can sign up for the Microsoft 365 Developer Program. That is a free, you will get a free E5 tenant for Microsoft 365. And as long as you use it for developer usage, it will renew automatically. So really cool support from Microsoft. There's also a lot of learning material available in Microsoft Learn to get started on both Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. We also have our podcast and video blogs available for you to take advantage. So we have 3 different weekly series. So we have the Microsoft 365 Developer Podcast hosted by Sherwin Fake, Paul Schafferlein, and Aisha Boss. And then we have the Microsoft 365 PMP Weekly hosted by yours truly and Waldek Mastercards. And then we have the Power Platform Connections hosted by David Warner and Hugo Bernier, who are both on the call as well. Now, I mentioned the samples already. Just to recap, AKMS/community samples, one centralized location to find all of the samples from Microsoft 365 and Power Platform from Microsoft and from community. So we really want to make it easy for you to access those samples, to get some inspiration and ideas maybe from the samples, or maybe you're stuck on building something and then you want to have an example to get you unblocked. That's why the samples exist. And we do welcome contributions in GitHub. Now, as you then run into the samples, are like, oh, here's a really cool sample from a whatever contributor and whatever technology. How would I actually use that? And that's where our Sharing is Caring initiative will help you. David's going to do a quick intro of what it does.
Yeah.
English is hard. David, please talk.
All right. So, friends, yes, all those samples happen because of amazing people like you. It's not magic. Your magic. See what I did there? So we want to empower all of those who want to get involved to learn and understand more how that landscape works. So GitHub can be confusing and it can be hard to understand how all those different words, fork and blame and raw, work together. We're going to show you live in these sessions. That means that we're going to work through something like a pull request for the first time together, or doing other things like setting up your workstation or using NVM to understand how to use those samples. They are safe space. They are not recorded. So please come with any and all questions and the willingness to learn and collaborate, and you're going to make some friends, I guarantee it. Now, we are looking to scale these. You'll have noticed that we might not have had as many sessions in the past few months as we would like to, but that is something we're working on with, again, the magic of you all. So let me or Hugo Bernier know if you would like to be involved. We are now back from MVP Summit and 365 Conference and finally have a chance to breathe. So we're looking to set up some calls with everyone to start onboarding some that would like to help out. Definitely don't hesitate. It's a great opportunity to collaborate with others in the community and grow together. Vesa, back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, David, on that one. Now, related on those events. So last week we had the Microsoft 365 conference, and next week or week after next, we actually have the European Collaboration Summit, and it seemed to be maxed out at 2,500 attendees, which is pretty cool. So a lot of people are looking into having an in-person meetups at Düsseldorf. So this is happening on the Europe side at Düsseldorf on 24th to 26th of May. A lot of Microsoft presenters, MVPs, and a lot of attendees there as well. Looking forward on that. It is actually 10-year anniversary for European Collaboration Summit. Now, if you are in the US side, we also have the 365 EduCon happening in June 12th to 16th. That's the next one in there, a bigger one. And then Seattle and Chicago happening later this year as well. Really cool. If you're more on Power Platform side, the next Power Platform conference is the European Power Platform Conference happening in Dublin the 20th to 22nd of June. Really great venue. I've been there a few times by myself in other conferences as well. It's a great opportunity to interact with the community. Sorry, talking too much, which is causing.
This is very emotional about these events. He's getting choked up. And...
Yes, exactly. That's just always happens. We Finns, we are so emotional. Now. So during May, we also have other events which are community organized events. So these are a bit smaller. They might be actually pretty large as well. But all around the world, we have different kind of community events. So if you go to communitydays.org, you can actually find out the next community events right next to you or closer to within your region. So have a look on what's available and join on those as well. Really great opportunities to participate. Now, on this week, there was a lot of interesting news related on Microsoft 365, or last week, because we always recap what's happening in the previous week. So first of all, there was the announcements related on Microsoft 365 conference last week in Las Vegas, and the main announcement there was the news article from Jeff Teeper around welcome to new era of SharePoint and OneDrive in Microsoft 365. We also had Adam Hammett's blog post related on following up on that, which is SharePoint AI, introducing Copilot in SharePoint and OneDrive. Really cool stuff. A lot of announcements related on Microsoft List, a lot of announcements related on administrative operations in Microsoft 365 as well. Now, earlier today, we also released a new version of SharePoint Framework 1.17.2. that includes fixes, which we didn't want to wait until the 1.18 is coming out. So we're looking into doing more frequent, almost like a monthly releases with SPFX in the future. There was also a new admin APIs announced for Microsoft Graph related on SharePoint admin experiences, and also a really interesting announcement on Microsoft Graph early adopter recognition program, where you can actually get your badges as well. So you can get a badge provided by the correctly for those things. Now, before we then go to the actual stars of the day and start the demo sequence, let's actually do a quick group photo. I will start to Camtasia here as well. I will put us all in the together mode view. And I will move everybody in here, and I will put myself in a camera as well. I can see a lot of familiar faces, even faces from Las Vegas last week. That's really, really cool. We are not yet recording. Let's wait a while until we get like a 50. Todd, I had no idea what you're doing on the back row. Behave. So there we go, much better. So we have 50 seats in the room. Few more seats. Who's going to get the last seat? Few more seats. I can say Brian in the front row. I can see a lot of other familiar faces. There we go. Oh, that's a big hand on the middle. And I guess it's time to put the recording on, so we don't spend too much in here. We will do 3, 2, 1, and we're going to grab a GIF animation out of that, whoever is on the screen. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for joining once again on the community call. Really cool to have you on here, and we'll grab a GIF animation and share that in social media. Great job, Bill, on the middle. Exactly. So that was flow simulation, wasn't it? Right, Bill? Now, let me go back in here, and then we go to the actual stars of the day, who are Eric and Avadhesh. Avadhesh, I do apologize again on pronunciation. And then we move to Cathy, unless there's a availability changes there, but I will then do the last demo anyway today. But let's go to Eric and Avadhesh and talk about the new flow and ideas for Power Automate with Microsoft Teams.
Hi everyone. This is Avadhesh. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, all right. So hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Avadhesh, and I'm here today with Eric from the Teams product group. We are excited to discuss how Power Automate and Teams can collaborate to create the powerful workflow solutions. So let's jump right in. I just want to kind of recap on our last couple of sessions. My colleagues have talked about how Teams and Power Platform can work together to create the composite apps that enables better collaboration. They highlighted how Power Platform and Teams can work together, specifically on the actionable dashboard, tab apps, and the Power Virtual Agent for the bot-based chat. So today, we want to focus on another powerful tool in the Power Platform, which is the Power Automate in Teams. Power Automate enables you to create workflows that automate a wide variety of tasks, from sending alerts and notifications to creating the hierarchic card for the better collaboration and automation. So if you are looking for ways to streamline your Teams workflows and improve collaboration within Teams, so Power Automate and Workflow Experience in Teams are the powerful tool which we can use. Workflow in Teams, so there is a section, the workflow section in Teams, and I would like to introduce that section to you, which is powered by the Power Automate, and the tool that helps you work smarter by automating workflows across a growing number of apps and services that businesses rely on. With workflow templates, the possibility for automations are endless. So for instance, if you want to create or automation, if you want to receive the notification when a certain thing happens, you want to synchronize your files by connecting to your folders or keep the data current, or you want to kind of connect with the third-party apps to kind of do something when something happens in an app, it should notify in your Teams and channel. So the best part is that Microsoft Flow makes it possible to automate all of these scenarios and more. And the good news is that we have recently added 21 new workflow Teams templates, specifically for the 3P apps to better enhance your workflow experience connected with 3P apps. So if you're looking for more efficient way to work, workflow templates in Teams are the ones which you can use. So I'll just quickly cover because I need to move into the demo quickly. But yeah, so as you know, like there are the three personas: the users, basically primarily someone who consumes and initiate the workflows and who can actually participate or kind of get that information. The makers are the one who are the power users and citizen developers who want to create these experiences. and developers are the one who can use these Power Automate templates and the connectors to build the solutions. So I'll quickly talk about the demo. I have chosen the Trello for the 3P, which is we recently added into our workflow experience. So without the further delay, let's dive into a quick demo of a Trello Automate templates in Teams. And with the Trello Automate templates, you can easily automate your Trello boards and cards without ever leaving the Teams. And this means you can streamline your workflows and improve the collaboration with your team. As you can see, there are 5 workflows are available. So I'll just quickly move away from the presentation mode and just quickly move to the Teams client. As you can see here, I have already logged into the Teams in a browser. And basically, we need to go to and I've already added the Trello app as an app into the Teams client. Now I'll go to the apps. And as you can see here, there is a workflow section. I can go here and can just quickly search the Trello. And it'll give me all the templates which are available. For this demo, I'll just use this template, which is readily available in the workflow section. So I'll use this one, click on it, it'll give me and it guide me through it. So I'll just sign in. So I already set up the accounts in the trial. So you could see here, it has already been signed in. I can click on next. Here, it gives me the option that which team I want to configure this workflow. So for example, I'll choose as a Contoso marketing. It'll automatically give me the options of channels. I have only one channel in that, so I can select the general one. If there are multiple channels, it will give you the option from the drop-down where you can select. The Trello board ID, I already created a dashboard here or the workplace in Trello. So I'll use the Contoso Electric and where I want to kind of post this. So I'll just say that, hey, doing section, and I'll add a workflow. So it is that simple that an end user can go and quickly create these workflows from the Teams workflow section itself. And as you can see that these workflow added successfully. If you want to manage these workflows, you can click on it and it is powered by the Power Automate. And it opens the Power Automate and it will show you all the flows which has been created here. Now, as you can see here, that it suggests that it will create a Trello card when a channel post starts, which is to do. So let's test this in a team and channel that if it is working. So I can go back to the teams. I have this Contoso marketing team here. I have this journal. I can start a new conversations and I start with to do. And for example, I say, I mention someone. In this case, I'll just mention Adele and say, can you please start the surveys for our marketing department? And I'll just post this. The moment I post it, it should create, and you can see that the Power Automate flow kicks in, and it should create a card in my Trello board. And as you can see in the workspace, that this card has been created. Now from the Trello, I can assign to someone, and we can configure the other notifications as well if needed. So these are the templates which are available in the workflow sections, but you can create your own. But I just wanted to show you the template which is available, and there are many more apps are available which you can use to create these workflows. So now I wanted to kind of hand it over to Eric, who's going to talk about the Power Apps and the Power Automating team. So Eric, over to you.
Thank you, Avadhesh. So if, like me, you're a Pro Apps maker, you probably realize that enabling your Pro Apps within Teams can be a challenge, and it's still a science. So we leverage the Power Automate flows to create kind of shortcuts and templates into connecting your Pro Apps with Teams. So we firstly release 3 templates that really help you to trigger in action in M365, but then follow up in Teams. So we went after the most popular one. Obviously, approval seems to be very popular. SharePoint either, and as well a simple one that's just the purpose of notifying a user. So let me switch to the demo because I guess it's going to be more efficient than talking. The idea here is I'm a proapps maker, and as you all probably know, it's very hard to just add a button that's going to trigger an action in Teams. So the idea was, let's propose a template to make that simpler. So you'll see if you go into that Create Flow section, 3 new templates we released last month that are here and triggering Teams action. For this demo, I'm just going to use the simple one about notify a user. So obviously, it creates a connection in Teams to send the message, and you can use your account or service account if that makes sense. And then it's just going to ask you for your proapps URL, and you can create the flow and you're done in terms of setting the connection. Then you just want to put a button in place and select the unselect option of that button that is here, obviously, and you just want to run the flow, provide the email address of the person you want to notify, bring a title, and the text you want to send. So let's try it out. I'm running my proapps, whether it's in the browser or in Teams is relevant. I'm just clicking the button, and when I go back in Teams, automatically I'm receiving an adaptive card that's going to have a logo, your title, your text, and with a button that's actually opening your own proapps into a stage view. So enabling you to notify the user, but as well bringing back directly into the proapps for ease of use. Obviously, that comes with another advantage. It's you can use that template as a learning opportunity. So I can reopen, for example, the SharePoint one. And we tried as well to put within the template pointers into the documentation. For example, you want to learn about or you want to create a deep link, we did put the logic, we're doing it, but as well the link back to the documentation. So feel free to send us feedback because it's only the beginning of that work. And thank you. And back to whoever is next, I forgot.
We might have lost Vesa. He might have had some internet trouble. So I think up next is Cathy on site templates. Cathy, you want to take it away?
Yeah, good morning. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Vesa and I were side threading because he can't actually see me in the meeting, which is kind of fun. So I'm excited to share the latest on site creation and site template updates with you all this morning. Or today, I guess. So I appreciate all of you letting me join you and share a little bit. So over the past few months, over the last year, you have certainly seen us continue to ship more and more new site templates. And we truly believe that site templates make the process of sites easier. They give people a purpose for what they're trying to build and how they want to go about that. So with that, we've been working to create a set of updates that we believe will make it even easier. So today, when you go to create a site, you create the site and then you apply the template. But as we've seen that sometimes that is hard for people to do, or it makes it a little bit harder as people get started to go about this. So one of the things that we've done with site creation is we've made some updates to the UX for this. So now when you come in to create sites, you're first going to still get prompted with that create team site, create communication site. And then when you come in and you pick your sites, you're going to be taken directly into that template gallery. And so you're going to be picking your site template as you create your site, which gives people that great understanding, thinking about the purpose of my site as I'm creating it. So helping to ground people in reality functionality and get them started right away. So as you can see, we've made a few updates here. We've changed the appearance. We've made this a little bit more concise and consistent. And then we've done a few things as well, like we've introduced a new, renamed a few of the templates to make them a little bit more easy to understand. So you'll see our standard team here, which is our regular team site that you would get anytime you created a team site today. That would be what you get. And then you can see all of the great templates that we've put into place with this along with it. So you can see our event planning, our IT help desk, all of our great sites. So if you wanted to go into this even further, one of the things that we've done as a part of this, when you go in to look at the template details, is we've updated the template details to give more information about what you're getting as a part of the site template. So you can see you get the great listing of site capabilities that gives you sentences talking about what that is, and you get a what's included that includes what pages or lists or components you're going to get a part of this. And so you can still scroll and see that home page layout here. But you can also now see we have a preview site full screen, which takes you into an experience of now where you can actually preview every page, every list that comes as a part of this site template. So you can see I'm still able to scroll on my pages as I see them, but I'm also able to click through and see the other components of the template as well. So I'm able to see those pages and scroll through those pages to see what the content is, to see all of the great components of this template as a part of the template application experience. So I can see all of the great information that I would get as a part of this template. And then I can always go back and pick a different template if I don't like what I'm seeing there. I decide I want to do something else with my site. So I can go in then and click on use template. And we've also updated our site creation experience. So as you name your site, so we're going to have a getting started site, because we're using the onboarding template, you see I get an updated experience here that includes more details about the different steps in the site creation experience. Again, making it easier for people to understand what they're doing, what those requirements are, what the information that you see going through. And so you see we still have the ability to change the template. If I go through and decide at this step, you know what, it's not getting started I want to do, I need a project management site, I could go back and change that template. And as we go through, it walks me through, again, giving me more information about this as I'm going through. And then once I create the site, it's going to go ahead, and you can see we've updated this to now show you that you're actually creating the site at this point. You're applying the template as in a team site. I could go ahead and start adding members to the site if I wanted to, and going ahead and granting people access to this site. So I'm going to go ahead and grant Megan. She's the hardest working marketing person that we have. We're going to go ahead and add Megan. Maybe we want to go ahead and add Nestor. We want to give some different people access to this. They will be granted access to the site as soon as it finishes. So you'll see we go through the applying, and then once we finish, it adds the users and redirects me to that site. So you can see a lot of great things that have been updated here just to make it a little bit easier as you go through the site creation process, giving you those templates as a part of the process, making it so once I hit the site with that template applied, I can easily get started updating my content, adding my own content, and jumping in and getting going. So we can go through and build this out and really go and update this and add it the way that we want to. So really kind of tricking, people into getting their content going and giving them a little bit of easy information to get going. So we're really excited to have improved this process and have this available. So it's both team sites and communication sites. And as you look at this experience, you'll see we've replicated standard team, standard communication. Those are both the default templates that would be created today. We've added even more templates, like our new Brand Central template that gives you more places to create different template types to look at. We've got our new Brand Central template. We've got our new Organization Home template, which has that great home site type experience that we can build out. So we've really got a lot of great templates to give people information and to get started quickly. And as always, we have the From Your Organization tab. I don't have any templates installed here from your organization, but you have the From Your Organization tab as well for that custom template experience. So truly continuing to build out and introducing new templates, as well as introducing a new experience for templates as a part of the site creation experience, making it easier for you to get going and to get started. And if you've got your own custom templates installed, they'll be right there in the From Your Organization tab, and you can select those as a part of this template creation and site creation process as well. So you would simply tab to the From Your Organization and pick that template to create from as well. So we've kind of updated this and given it a little bit of a refresh to give people some great pointers and ways to get started quickly with building out their sites and their content. So that's kind of what I had today. It's a little bit of a quick demo, but a great update that we hope that everyone will utilize and be able to get started quickly and easily.
Cathy, let's do a few questions. What's your take? Because me and Cathy work super closely related on Lookbook and all of that. So the lookbook.microsoft.com is one of the classical examples of having templates available. And of course, a lot of those templates have been transforming to be within the product. We're not going to shut down lookbook.microsoft.com. We're looking into evolving that a bit in the future as well. More on that later. But what's your take related on what's available in here versus what's available in the Lookbook?
Yeah, so they're both really great sets of templates. And one of the things that we have done is start to take inspiration from some of those lookbook templates. If you look at the Brand Central template, this is a new one that we've just released. It came out at the beginning of May for everyone. This is a template that's also very similar to the brand template that's available in the lookbook. So we really took an inspiration from some of the highly utilized sites in the lookbook and started bringing them into the product as well. So one of the things that you'll see is you'll start to see versions of the lookbook templates showing up in the product, and you'll see more and more of that. So that'll make it easier for whether you're starting from the lookbook or starting from within the product to use these different site templates. And so you can see these different templates being created and a lot of different information coming across between the two. But there's no right or wrong way between in-product templates and lookbook templates. They are both great sets of templates and resources for people to get started from. So it's really great to see people getting started with a template. We think it's a great way to give people that easy access of what they want to do and how they should get started.
Excellent. That was I'm going to go a few questions from the chat because there were some good things to mention. Now, on the From Your Organization tab, how do you get those templates available there? There was a question on that one on the side.
Right. So these templates are the templates that you install via PowerShell into your tenant. And so you would set those templates up and install them as the site SharePoint admin, sorry, a little tongue-tied this morning. And so once you add those in via the admin via PowerShell, that's when they'll appear there in the From Your Organization tab.
So using the SharePoint on PowerShell, I can create, first of all, I can create the template and then I can add that to be available in the UX. Excellent. That's good. Now, there was a really good suggestion from somebody in the chat as well. Can we modify the out-of-the-box template? So is it possible to take one of the out-of-the-box templates, modify that a bit, and then package that again?
Yeah, so unfortunately right now it's not 100% available just because of the slight disparity as Pages API is still coming on board and online for templates to include pages that are created by you. But we do see that being something that will be 100% valid and reasonable in the future. And so that is what part of what we're planning for is the ability for you to update and edit the out-of-the-box from Microsoft templates in the future.
Yeah, that would be really cool. If nothing else, so you could download the template, modify that a bit, and put it in From Your Organization. And that's really, really cool setup. So I think Todd was also asking, is there a way of changing the order of the templates or assign the From Your Organization as the default entry in this UX?
Not quite yet. We do have plans for how to make that available for you to be able to order the templates and the tabs, but we don't have a timeline for that yet. But it is something that is top of our roadmap for us.
Cool, really good. And then there was one thing which was a suggestion. It would be really cool if you could actually tie in the approval workflow on the site creation as well. So basically having that approval workflow tied into this UX. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we have talked a little bit about this, and we've worked with our great friends in the admin side to talk about how we would like to enable this in the future. It's something that we have definitely talked about and have explored the ideas for, but we don't have a timeline for this as well. One thing we do have a timeline for is that we will default to the From Your Organization tab instead of the From Microsoft if you have used the PowerShell to disable or to turn off the From Microsoft templates, so that your users would not land on a blank From Microsoft tab, that they would then land on the From Your Organization where you have added that content in. Now, that will not be available on day one when this experience ships, but it will be something that we will follow along very quickly with, as well as in the future being able to have you programmatically set that via PowerShell.
Yep, really, really cool. And then, so Carol was asking quickly that she does not see necessarily the templates on a tenant. Is some of this rolling out, or is it in the progress, or what's the timeline?
So if you're not seeing these templates, your admin may have disabled or turned off the From Microsoft templates via PowerShell, because we do allow that. So there is a way that as we go through with each template that we ship, and we typically ship our templates in a group. So the last set of templates that we shipped 3 site templates at the same time. We send out those message center posts, and we do allow users, the admins, the SharePoint admins, to say, I don't want these From Microsoft templates to show up. And so they're able to go in and do that one by one using the template ID, or to disable them all up to say, I don't want these to display. I only want them to use my custom templates that we've created from your organization. So there is PowerShell to allow that to not display, which is why we're following up with the ability to not display the From Microsoft as the default and have it just go to the From Your Organization.
Yeah, really cool. Thank you for that one. Stephanie, thank you for sharing the link on the PowerShell in the chat. So that was really good. And for those who cannot access the chat, we, by the way, are aware of that. Just letting you know, we're maxing out the 1,000 attendees in the chats, and Teams doesn't scale above that. So we'll fix that for the next weekly call. We need to do some cleaning, so I do apologize on that. And then there was one more question from Karen. Can we create site templates from one of the sites we have configured? So can I actually extract an existing site and create a site template out of that?
Unfortunately, not yet. This is by far the top request that we have. And we have been working hard to enable this, but we do not have a current timeline for when you would be able to save site as template or create template from existing site. But this is something that we've been partnering heavily with the Pages API team for how we would be able to make this process work. So we definitely see that coming in the future, but the timeline for when we will have it has not been updated yet.
Yeah, good. Thank you, Cathy, on that one. And I'm going to take the screen and share my screen, but thank you, Cathy. Really, really cool. Just to mention on that one, because I think somebody in the call might be thinking that, wait a minute, we had that save site as a template in the past in on-premises or even in Classic. And the answer for that one is, yes, you're 100% correct. However, that technology which we used back in the time when we enabled that within the UX was not future proven. So unfortunately, that functionality which was used for many years in on-premises only worked within one specific version. So as within the SharePoint Online, we're releasing a new version every single week. That would have cost us a significant, let's say, pain points, and it's not a future-proven technology. Save site as a template, the original, the classic one, is coming from 2010, I think. We re-implemented that in 2010. Now it's 2023, and we need to have a future-proven technology and implementation of the save site as a template. And Cathy is for sure working on it, but as she said, we need to have that Pages API and Pages support for storing the page information in the template as well. And that's after that's available, then we can finally enable that in the UX. Good. I guess that's it. Thank you, Cathy. Really cool. And sorry for asking a lot of questions, but I think there was a lot of good questions in the chat, so it's good to get them covered.
No, I love it. Great questions. I'll go back through the chat again and see if there's any that I didn't answer.
Excellent. Thanks, Cathy, for that one. And let's then go to the final topic of the day. So I'm going to do a quick recap on the latest on using SharePoint Framework in Microsoft Teams extensibility, SPFX meaning SharePoint Framework. And just to recap what the SPFX is and how we use that in Microsoft Teams and what is the latest. We showed some really cool demos last week in Microsoft 365 conference. I'm going to show a similar demo today, and we're going to deep dive more detailed on that solution a bit later in the community calls as well. Now, let's actually get moving. SharePoint Framework is by far the easiest way to build your enterprise solutions in Microsoft 365. And the reason for this one is that it's actually designed for a really easy implementation. So even though the name applies that it's SharePoint Framework and it has the SharePoint, it's not only for SharePoint. It is actually for Microsoft Teams as well, and it's also Microsoft Viva. You can actually use it in Outlook. You're going to use it in Office or Microsoft 365 nowadays as well, which is pretty cool. But it is a pro development tooling. So you basically need to write some code to be able to make things happen. It has the automatic single sign-on, and the most important thing why it's actually the easiest way to build the enterprise solutions is that it has the automatic hosting. So you do not need to go to the IT and say, hey, I need to have an Azure website or additional things to host my code. No, all of your code is automatically hosted, unless you want to integrate with Azure, which is absolutely an option as well. So, but it makes it super easy as a developer to build widgets and experiences and extensibility in Microsoft Teams or in Microsoft Viva or in SharePoint with the framework without the complexity of figuring out who's going to host my code, where is the code being hosted. Because development time is one thing, also the runtime and production time is the second thing. It has the consistent dev experience because it's based on industry standard tooling. You're writing TypeScript and all of that, which is really cool. This is a typical slide which we always include related on SharePoint Framework development. You can build personal apps, Teams tabs, meeting apps, messaging extension, cards, web parts extensions, and app pages using exactly the same tooling. And this is incredibly flexible. So you can share the same piece of code across all of the different applications without actually any code changes. So you can even use the same web part as a Microsoft Teams personal app without changing the code. And that's actually pretty mind-blowing. So you can maximize the investments within your development to be available across multiple products and multiple capabilities in Microsoft 365. And again, single sign-on, automatic code hosting, and all of that. Now, today we're going to focus a bit more on the Microsoft Teams, so what we can be doing in the Microsoft Teams together with SharePoint Framework. And relatively recently, we did announce that we actually support Microsoft Teams applications to be extended also in Outlook and Microsoft 365 app. So as long as you are creating any or using any technology to create a Microsoft Teams app, which is a personal application, it will be actually by default being available also in Outlook or in Microsoft 365 app. And this applies SharePoint Framework, it applies with your Teams, it applies also if you're looking into hosting an application, for example, in Azure and surfacing that within the Microsoft Teams. That application can be easily exposed then also in Outlook and in Microsoft 365 app without any code changes, which is really cool. Now, you can modify the implementation for sure, but you don't have to. But the application is now exposed in additional locations in Microsoft 365. Now, we talked a bit about already why SharePoint Framework for Microsoft Teams. We covered main points, but basic idea here is that you do not have to reinvent the wheel. We have almost set the number. We have tens of millions of monthly active users for SharePoint Framework extensibility within Microsoft 365. So rather than you being forced to rewrite something, you can actually extend the existing implementation directly being available in Microsoft Teams or being available within Outlook or Microsoft 365. Or without the need of learning how to do new implementation styles or a new development models, you can use the same model. Exactly the same code works directly within Microsoft Teams or in Outlook or in Microsoft 365 app as it works in the SharePoint as well. So you can reuse the same solution, the same code across the experiences. Automatic single sign-on is really, really cool feature. You don't need to worry about that one. Nowadays, that is available also if you are implementing so-called native Microsoft Teams apps, as in the hosted somewhere else than in the Microsoft 365. But it's really about the simplified operations with automatic optimized hosting, because again, SharePoint Framework gives you a zip file, a package, which I can just send to David and say, David, install this to your tenant, and it's production ready. It's automatically hosted in the Microsoft 365. There's no additional complexity with the deployments. Click of a button and we're good to go. And that's pretty mind-blowing. Now, the latest status with SPFX with Microsoft Teams. So with SharePoint Framework 1.17.x, we are now in 1.17.2. That went live 2 hours ago. So that's the latest version. It is using the Teams SDK 2.9.1. What does that mean? Well, it means that it's using all of the latest Teams SDK API capabilities, or almost all of the latest. There is actually a few more newer versions available, but 2.9.1 actually enables capabilities like Live Share SDK. So Live Share SDK and all of those capabilities which are available. That SDK gives additional options of getting access, for example, the context where I'm being hosted, what is the Outlook, what is the user, what is the team where I'm being hosted, and you can access that API or use the API service to get that within your code, which is really, really cool. Now, as you start planning SPFX within the Microsoft Teams or within Outlook or Microsoft 365, you can either use a custom manifest, and that means that you are creating your own Microsoft Teams manifest. You can define the definitions there, or you can auto-generate the manifest file based on deployment options, and that makes it incredibly simple as well. So if you have an existing web part available within SharePoint, only with the one attribute change in a manifest, you're good to go. No code changes, no nothing. You just add in a JSON attribute, update a JSON attribute within your solution, recompile the code, deploy that to the app catalog, and you're good to go. That's it. There's no additional changes needed within the code, and that's pretty mind-blowing. Now, as mentioned, all of the SharePoint Framework solutions for Microsoft Teams are also available within Outlook and Microsoft 365 apps. So that is actually incredibly cool thing. Now, I mentioned that it's incredibly simple to do this. If you have an existing web part, something which you're using within a SharePoint Online, which absolutely keep on using that in SharePoint Online as well. But if you would like that to be also exposed in the Microsoft Teams, the only thing what you need to do is update in the JSON file, which is the web part manifest, the supported host values. So you add a Teams personal app or Teams tab in the supported host, and that's it. You just basically do package my code again, deploy to the app catalog, and done. You do not need to do anything else. And all of a sudden, magically, that solution, poof, is available in production mode in Microsoft Teams. And that makes it incredibly powerful, comparing the complexity which you might have if you're hosting the website by yourself or implementing hosting in Azure, AWS, and then you have complexity of authentication, all of that stuff. None of that is a challenge anymore if you're using a SharePoint framework. Now, what's also really cool is that, as mentioned, there's the native access on the Microsoft Teams SDK. So within the context of your web part, which is no longer really a SharePoint web part because now it's a Microsoft Teams personal application, but in the context of that application or a solution, you can directly access the SDKs, and you can access the Teams SDK, and you can access information around what the Teams SDK is providing. So you can simply do this.context. Something ... and you get access on the information which is available within your code, and that's incredibly easy as well. So super easy to use. Now, what's also really cool, so just to be clear on this one, Microsoft Teams Toolkit actually supports SharePoint Framework, and I'm going to show this one today in practice as well. Going to be pretty quick and fast demos. We're going to redo a lot of these demos more detailed in the future, but showing you how it can be done. So it's not either or Teams Toolkit or SharePoint Framework. No, Microsoft Teams Toolkit actually you can use together with SharePoint Framework. And that simplifies actually Teams development SPFX with a native F5 debugging super easily within the Teams Workbench, which is a specific debugging option which is available within true Teams Toolkit. I'll show that one in practice, but maybe in Outlook scenario, that's actually pretty cool as well. And you can, of course, use the Teams Toolkit to create multi-tab SPFX Teams solutions as well. I'm going to show that one in practice in the demo as well. Now, I mentioned this already, but this is incredibly cool. So as part of the Microsoft Teams Toolkit V5, there's an improved debugging for SharePoint Framework. So if you're looking into doing a Microsoft Teams extensibility with SPFX with the Teams Toolkit V5, you can just select debugging get start in the Microsoft 365 app or in the Outlook, and voila, poof, you have an F5 experience and debugging enabled directly within the Teams Toolkit, which is really, 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 really cool. Let's have a look on all of this in practice. So let's have a look on a few of the samples and scenarios what I showed here. So this is something what I showed last week in the Microsoft 365 conference. We will go a bit more detail to this sample in the future. We will have actually Paolo Pialorsi joining on this call, on Tuesday call in June, to deep dive on how this is implemented and all of that, and how we can take advantage of things. But as you can see, it's a relatively nice looking web part. We are in SharePoint, as we can see from the top menu, and we can see information like the products which has been sold, or reasons to return. What is most reasons to be returned is apparently wrong item. Well, that's something we need to fix in shipping for sure. But there's a nice revenue for the company, and we can get the details around, for example, the company sales and all of that. Of course, this data is imaginary, but it's a relatively typical scenario that the business leadership wants to have a dashboard where they're up to date on what's happening with their custom experiences and all of that. Now, getting this web part, which is implemented using SharePoint Framework, to be available in Microsoft Teams requires only one single change. And it's basically this in the manifest. So this is the implementation. And again, we will open source this, not yet, but pretty soon in June. Only thing what I need to do is just make sure that the web part is actually available also as a Teams personal app, or as a Teams meeting app, or as a Teams tab. In our case, we are exposing this as a Teams personal app because it's a full screen, not as a tab within a channel, rather as a full screen from a left launcher menu. But basically, I can add that one in. I will save. I will recompile the solution. Recompiling the solution in SPFX basically means that I'm just doing culp bundle --ship, or I could use the Teams Toolkit tooling, or I could use the Viva Connection tooling, Viva Connection Toolkit as well. There's multiple options based on your preference on the tooling. But as I'm doing that rebuilding of the solution, I will eventually get a SPPKG file, and that is the zip file which contains the actual implementation. It contains the code. It's production ready. And that's the beauty of actually SPFX as well. I can send that now to David. I can send that to anybody else or my customer and say, install this to your app catalog. You are production ready, good to go. And that's it. Everything is within that zip file, and everything just magically works within their tenant. Hopefully, again, if you haven't done any bugs within your code and all of that stuff, you know how it is. But as I added that Teams personal application in the manifest, what it means is that my application gets automatically available in multiple other locations. So as an example, if I'm in Microsoft Teams, I'm in the Microsoft Teams, and I can easily access that application in the left menu. In my case, I already pinned that in, so I can access that information directly in Microsoft Teams, and this is an SPFX implementation. So it's a Microsoft Teams application built with SPFX, and it has multiple tabs, and we can collect additional information and surface information to be available, and whatever is your scenario, of course. The technology of what technology, is it SPFX or is it the native Teams app? Doesn't really matter. It's a Teams application which is now available in here. And it's a pretty cool looking application, actually. Waiting forward to getting this available for everybody within a community for demos. Now, as mentioned, if it's a Teams app, it's actually available also in Microsoft 365 app. So now if I'm actually in Microsoft 365, I can then go and click apps, and then I can actually access the Contoso retail dashboard available there as well. And I can access the information directly in Microsoft 365 app. There are people who work mostly on Microsoft 365 apps, so accessing files in here, and they can easily access that information directly from the left menu. That's pretty cool as well. And of course, the same applies then for Outlook. So I can be into Outlook, and then I need to go and see, hey, I need to get the information related on whatever our sales were. I could do messaging extension. There's other options as well, but I can also access the information directly from the left menu. And there we go. There's my SharePoint Framework application being exposed directly in Outlook. That's incredibly powerful. Now, the other thing what I wanted to deep dive a bit or show the demo is about the Teams Toolkit. So the Teams Toolkit has been evolving a lot. So the Teams Toolkit V5 is currently in preview. Let me start here a new window. And the Teams Toolkit is incredibly powerful and flexible tool in the creating extensibility for Microsoft Teams. It has a lot of options. You can choose to build messaging extensions, bots, and all of that stuff. And if you are building personal applications, you can also use SharePoint Framework in here. And whenever it actually starts up, come on, there we go. I can start from an existing sample. Of course, I can basically download an existing sample, start extending from there, or I can start from a new app. And when I start from a new app, then I have a few different options. This is V5, so I have also the option of creating Outlook adding here. But in our case, we're going to use start with the Teams notification or application. And in here, we can see the SPFX tab as an option. And if I select that one, it will actually start executing the SPFX element generator behind the scenes. It will actually ask me something really interesting, which is a nice flexibility for developers as well. So it will basically tell me that, do I want to install the latest version of SPFX locally within my developer solution, or do I want to use globally available SPFX solution, which gives some level of flexibility on what we're using. That will then scaffold us a solution, which we can super easily do debugging in multiple locations. So here, what I've done here is that I pre-provisioned or scaffolded my project because the node modules takes a while to complete. But basically, I have a relatively simple web part, which has been now exposed to be Teams tab, Teams personal app, and it has additional settings or configurations. The cool thing here is that I can simply, let's see if I can actually get this work. Let me go to this browser window. I can simply now go to my debugging. Let's actually do a breakpoint. Let's go in here. Where's my code? And let's add a breakpoint over there. And now if I go to F5, I can say that start this SPFX solution in the context of the Outlook workbench. And in our case, we're using Edge. So I can just click that one, press F5. And if everything goes well, if we have done the proper preparations for the demo, drum rolls, it will take a while to compile, it will do things, set up the things, automation behind the scenes. Teams Toolkit is helping a lot on making things happen. But then we're getting there. There we go. Successfully executed that one. Now we're starting to restart, starting things. 1 more seconds, 2 more seconds, 3 more seconds, 5 more seconds. And fire. Come on, Teams Toolkit, you can do this. You can do this. Still doing things. Now we can actually see that the running server is doing there on the background. That's basically the last markers. Localhost is running. We are starting to be good to go. It is copying the assets, doing automation. And this is because I haven't actually done that for a while. No, I don't do Webpack this moment. Here we go. And now I can actually then start testing that within the context of my identity, within the context of my Outlook. It fires to Outlook. And if everything goes well, after a while, there's my code, there's my SPFX solution getting loaded. It will explicitly call out that, hey, you're doing debugging. You are running code which is not part of the Microsoft 365, making sure that people are aware of things and see what happened on the background. We did hit a breakpoint. And on that, as we hit the breakpoint, we can access the information, like all of the details, what's in the context, what's happening, what's actually happening within a page, what's happening in the code, and all of that stuff. And that's pretty magical. That's incredibly easy. Just F5 after I scaffolded the project. I did not do any changes after that, and I can easily test out my solution in the context of Outlook. And now I can actually start implementing my custom implementation. That's pretty cool. It's magic. Thank you, David. Cool. That's it for that demo. So thank you for that one. One more time. Thank you for the magic thing. That was really cool. So thank you, Eric. Thank you, Avadhesh. Thank you, Cathy. Thank you, Vesa, for the demos of today. So that was a really packed demo session. I think we have actually 3 demos for next week as well. I love when we have 3 demos because I know that there's a lot of stuff what we are showing, but it inspires, gives you ideas what is possible within the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. Next week, we have Trinidas and Rick building a Microsoft Teams call queue scheduler solution for customers. We have Supriti Pan, introduction to LiveShare SDK for Microsoft Teams apps. And then I'm going to do a quick recap on Microsoft Viva extensibility with SharePoint Framework. So that's on 16th of May, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Every single Tuesday, 8 a.m. That's all. Now, we do want your feedback on this course. We want to understand how can we improve, what works, what doesn't work. If there are things which bothers you, let us know. Positive feedback is always welcome as well. Please use akms/community/course and feedback to let us know your input. Now, recording will be available within 24 hours at the Microsoft 365 Power Platform community YouTube channel at akms/community/videos. Subscribe there today. You will get notified when the videos are available. We do publish every single business day and one video within that channel, which is really, really cool. The next call is on 16th of May. And you can have a look on all of the goals at /community/call. And that's it for today. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Thank you for the feedback on the chat. We'll try to follow up on any of the questions afterwards. If nothing else, come here next week or other community calls and keep on asking questions. We are here to help, or go to the LinkedIn and ask a question in there. That's definitely an option. But thanks, everybody, for today. Stay safe. Have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.